Hey folks, welcome to another Programming for Musicians video. I'm going to talk about one of the common problems that happens in Project 10, merge conflicts. I'm going to cover the following: what is a merge conflict, what causes a merge conflict, how to resolve a merge conflict, and how to prevent a merge conflict from happening. So let's get started. What are merge conflicts? A merge conflict is what happens when you have the following scenario. You have two branches of code. I'll show it right here. You have two branches of code. You're trying to merge one branch into another branch, and the Git engine is expecting certain text on specific line numbers in the source file, but it's not finding them, and it therefore cannot apply the change when merging the two branches together. Okay, so what causes a merge conflict? A merge conflict is caused when file changes happen on two branches at the same time on the same lines in that file. So consider this example that I've got set up here. Person A is working on branch number 1 right here on lines 1 through 5. Okay. Now person B is working on branch number 2, but they are also working on lines 1 through 5. Okay. They both make their branches based off of some commit on the master branch. In this case, it's this initial commit right here. You can see that both of them start from this commit, and that's where their changes are based off of. Okay. Person A finishes their work on branch 1. That's this guy right here. Their work is approved, and it is merged back into the master branch. So let's do that now. Let's go to the master branch, and we're going to merge branch 1 back into it. Okay. Now the master branch's most recent commit is newer than the commit from the master branch that person B used to create their branch. So if you look here, you can see that branch 2 is no longer based off of the most recent master branch commit. Okay, it's based off of this initial commit here, but the master branch is here. Now normally this would not be a problem, except that the code that person A had merged back into the master branch was written on the same line numbers that person B is working on now. So check it out. We've got some text right here on line 1. And if we go to the master branch 2, if we go to branch number 2, we can see there's also stuff happening on line number 1. Okay. When person B submits their work for review, Git will report that their code changes cannot be merged back into the master branch automatically. And this is because the text that their project added on line 1, for example, was originally a blank line. If we look right here, we can see that in the initial commit for this branch, we can see that line 1 was originally blank. It had nothing on it. And then they added these 3 lines of text right down here. Okay. So Git is expecting a blank line on line 1. And instead, line 1 actually shows this right here. Okay. That is the merge conflict, and it needs to be resolved manually. So let's talk about how to resolve these merge conflicts. Now there are 2 ways to resolve them, and it depends on where you are viewing the conflict. The first way is if you're viewing it on GitHub or Bitbucket or on some other type of text editor such as your IDE or Visual Studio Code like I've got here. Normally what you'll see if you try to do this is you'll see some arrows going one way. You'll see some arrows like this. You'll see an equal sign, and then you'll see arrows going the other way. I don't have enough of them here, but you'll see something like this. You'll see text in between them like this. You'll see a bunch of code changes here and a bunch of code changes here. So instead of me trying to do it manually, let me just show you what I mean. All right, let me let's see. Let me save this, and then I'm going to just discard those changes because I don't remember how many lines I added. Discard that line. Okay, perfect. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to merge branch 2 into the master branch, and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about with these arrows and lines. Okay, so branch 2, merge into master. All right. Let's see, merge. And if I look here, now I can see here are the arrows that I was talking about. Here's that equal sign, and here is the arrows going the other way. Caret symbol, whatever you want to call it. Okay. Now you can see that the arrows and equal signs are showing the way the text currently looks and the line we're trying to add. This is the way the text currently looks, and this is the way, these are the lines that we're trying to add. Okay, now when you see these arrows and equal signs in your text file, you, the user, have to edit the text with the text editor and choose which lines from either branch get to remain. Okay, and then you also need to delete these things when you're done. Okay, otherwise they're going to be just be included in the code, and that's not what you want. Okay, now the second way that you can resolve them is if you're using a tool like Fork here. Okay, if you're viewing the merge conflict in Fork, they have a specific window which lets you resolve the conflicts very easily. You just click this merge and fork button, and now you can go through and pick what code you want kept from either branch. And down here is where you can actually edit it after it's been migrated over. So let's do that right now. I'm going to select the branch 2 changes first because I want these changes. I'm going to select the master branch changes first because I want this one to be the first line of code. And then I'm going to select these changes first. Okay, so now I can see this is what's actually going to show up in the final merge that I'm trying to merge back into the master branch. Okay, so if I click resolve, it's going to show this commit right here. It's going to say that this line right here was part of the master branch, and now we're saying that it's the existing code that we based our changes off of, right? This line was here the whole time, and we decided to add these 3 lines of text, even though we know if we go back to our all commits, that is not actually what happened. Originally, we had nothing there. It was just blank lines. And then we added, it was a blank line, and then we added our 3 lines of text. And there was no existing line of code already on line 1. Okay, that's the whole point of like resolving this merge conflict. Okay, now the whole process of resolving merge conflicts, it's not a difficult task. You just need to know what the actual problem is that Git is having with your code, and you just need to go through the process of resolving those conflicts a few times to get familiar with it, and then it's really easy to do. Once you know what you're looking at, it's super simple. So let's talk about how to prevent them from happening. And the proper way to prevent merge conflicts from happening is to rebase your branch off of the latest commit of the branch that you want to merge back into. So for example, I'm going to reset the master branch to here. That's going to undo all of those things, so we'll discard those changes. Okay, we're going to merge branch 1 back into the master branch. So let's see, branch 1, master branch. We're going to merge branch 1 into master. Okay. And now we're going to rebase branch 2 off of this commit. Okay, this is very easy to do. You switch to the branch that you want to merge. So we want to merge branch 2 into the master. So let's switch to branch 2. And then you right click on the commit and you say, you right click on the commit that you want to be the new base commit for your branch, and you choose rebase. So if you remember, this branch 2 right here was originally based off of this initial commit, and now we're going to make it based off of this commit here. So we check out our branch, and then we go to the commit that we want to be the new base, and we rebase from that. So rebase branch 2 to here. And it's going to say, stash and reapply the local changes. And if there are any conflicts, Fork will ask you to resolve those in order to continue rebasing. Now, Fork's process for rebasing has the option to this. Fork's process for rebasing has the option to stash and reapply the commits on your branch. And what that means is that Fork is going to take all of the commits that you made on your branch. It's going to convert them to individual stashes over here, and then it's going to apply them one by one on. It's going to apply them one by one in the order they were committed to the target commit on a new branch. And it's going to ask you to resolve any issues along the way. So if you are not familiar with the stash feature of Git, I urge you to get familiar with it. It's a great way to save changes that shouldn't be part of a branch that you're working on, or to save changes that aren't ready to be turned into a commit. All right, so let's do that right now. We're gonna take this branch 2, we're gonna rebase it off of the master branch. Rebase to here. There's gonna be a conflict because we're expecting a blank line and we don't have a blank line. All right, so then it's gonna say, hey, you need to resolve this. And we can see that over here, we got these arrows and the equal sign and the arrows going the other way. So let's resolve those now. We're gonna do it in fork. We want this to be, this is what we want to be the first line. And now we want this to be the next chunk of lines. And then we'll resolve it. And now we can continue our rebase. Now if we go back to all of our commits, we can see that branch 2 is based off of this master branch commit right here instead of this one. Now that we've done that, now we can merge this back into the master branch. If we right click on branch 2, we can say merge into master, and it will say this branch can be merged without conflicts. Sure enough, there we go. Now our master branch shows all of our changes. All right, that covers merge conflicts. Now you know what they are, you know what causes them, you know how to resolve them, and you know how to prevent them from happening. So if you have any questions about this or about using Git or about programming in general, feel free to send me messages in the Slack workspace for programming for musicians, C++ for musicians. I'm always down to talk about this stuff and spread the knowledge. Thanks again, and I will see you in the next video.